Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Empowering Voices. Today, we have a special guest. I'm very delighted to introduce Mia Chiparus. Sorry, very difficult surname. Mia is an amazing photographer, documentary and portrait photographer mainly. And she's been published on national and international magazines. And she's great. She's done amazing job with refugees. I remember a couple of years ago when I was still in Greece. Great. She was a very brave soul to go on a solo travel to Siberia. But only if I think of it, I feel lost. But I want to introduce the affirmation for today that is trust the process. That for me is a bit like when we have a vision and we would like to see all the steps to the vision. It's not possible, and sometimes we get a bit defeated and frustrated, but we have to trust the process. So welcome, Mia, and please introduce yourself, your amazing business, and every detail you consider important for us.
Good morning, Mara, and thank you for having me on your talk show. And congratulations on your beautiful creations.
Thank you.
And I love your embroidery. I hope to have one of your pieces soon. I'm a little bit slow at ordering something for myself.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Doing that. So, yes, I am Mioara Chiparus. Mia is my nickname because it's easier to pronounce. And I am a documentary and portrait photographer. I am Romanian and I live in Athens, Greece at the moment. I'm very glad you chose the slogan, trust the process for me, because this has been something I kept on saying to myself throughout the years. And I also say, trust your gut. It's kind of the thing to me. And many people that are dear to me actually kept on repeating those words to me throughout the process of becoming a photographer. So in order for you to understand how I started my photography, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how it all started and how it all became. I think my passion for photography, I don't have an exact moment in my life when I can say, oh, I started loving photography, because I grew up in Romania, where my father brought photographers at home to have portraits taken for different occasions. So that's when that idea was introduced to me. And then later, when the one-use cameras were available, I started buying those and started photographing for fun as a teenager. When I was 16, I moved to Germany, and my family with whom I lived observed my dedication to photography, and they bought me a Kodak film camera. And that was...
It seems ages ago when we used the film in the cameras.
Yeah, so that was the moment when that camera became stuck to my body, and I just carried everywhere, and I took pictures of my parents and my family and my friends, and I don't think there was a place I went without that camera. And everybody was so annoyed at one point that they were like, oh, come on, you need to talk to us, not take photos all the time. So yes, I kind of fell in love with taking pictures. And then I moved to the States and I started my college, and I really wanted to study photography, but it wasn't supported by my scholarship. I was on a basketball scholarship because I was also an athlete. And of course, I was disappointed, but
yeah,
I
also
said,
because you studied something completely different, foreign affairs. So,
yes, I chose international affairs and economics, and photography kind of became just a hobby then, and it was very hard to have that hobby because I was busy with my classes and basketball, but still, it never disappeared as a passion for that period of time. Then I found myself in Athens, Greece, where I met you.
yes.
And
actually, Mia was the first photographer to have with whom I had a professional photo shooting of my pieces. At the time, I was making hats and bags. Well, it was a fantastic experience, and they are some of the most amazing pictures I still cherish a lot. Unfortunately, I don't do that anymore, but still, it's where I started.
Had a beautiful model, your daughter, so who
yeah.
was with our demands. So yes, when I moved to Greece, I couldn't actually have a career in what my studies prepared me for. So that was the moment I said, okay, I am going to study photography. Yeah. And I enrolled at the Light Academy, where I studied for 1 year, and then I prepared myself with 2 more years of attending workshops with famous photographers and traveling. And when that was over, then I found myself on the stage of being a photographer. Okay. But then I looked around and I said, oh, this world is so competitive, and there's so many good photographers out here. And I started having doubts, and I said, oh, I don't think I'm going to get any recognition, and not even, making myself notice was even hard to think that it could be possible. And yeah, that's when I had to say to myself that I have to believe in myself, and I have to fight all these insecurities and the fear of not being able to do it. And the way I did it, it was by saying that, you know what, I don't care if I am going to be published. I don't care if I am going to be recognized. My main focus was to go out there, find a project, and dedicate myself to that. And I think that's very important for anybody else who is an artist or is trying to switch a career. I think you have to stay focused on your passion.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you show your passion and you show yourself, the true self, people start noticing.
Yes, and leave the results for later. For me, it was very important to focus on the feelings and the passion I had during my projects. As you mentioned, my first project was with the refugees, and I think it was in 2016 when the refugees came to Elleniko, the old airport here in Athens, and they stayed for more than a year. And I started photographing them and recording moments of their lives and their difficulties. And that's when I realized that passion is important, but also the feelings you get from people with whom you work are very, very satisfactory to me, and that helped me to push myself towards other projects in the future. And yes, of course, there are moments when you feel out of ideas, and there are moments when all these doubts keep creeping in. They make you feel insecure, but in the end, passion wins, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really the only support for freelancers, because we don't have an office with colleagues or a boss believing in us. We have ourselves. So that's why we never have to lose sight of our vision and our passion. It's, I mean, it's to see the feelings, the feelings at the end is what has to guide us. And that's why we said trust the process, because if you don't trust the process, you start comparing yourself. And that's the end, because the second you start comparing yourself, you will be always the loser, because you don't want to see why these people are doing that, how they got there, how long it took them to get there. So we always think that others are better. And it's not always the case, fortunately.
Yeah. So my main passion is photography, and especially people. You know, I enjoy working with people and photographing people, and I admire vintage portrait photography, and that's one place where I do get my inspiration from, and also paintings. Mm-hmm.
I remember when we met and I lived in Athens, it was a bit difficult also to break the wall of considering, at least in Greece, photography like art. It's not, at the time they were probably not ready. By then things have changed, of course. But the concept of, I think in the south of Italy, we have roughly the same. So educating people is the first step, and it takes time, of course.
Yeah. Yes. And it's a pity, because we do live in a country with so much history and art. And yes, I think artists are having a harder time in Greece. Mm-hmm. At exposing their work, not exposing their work, but getting the appreciation from people. You know, it is even now it's still a difficult place to make yourself noticed. But there are smaller groups of artists who are very talented, and they're trying to push their work out there. But still, there is not enough funding for them. And if you don't have the financial means to do it by yourself, then
you have to stop. Yeah, you don't have a choice. Yeah.
Yes.
Although the advantage of nowadays is that you are not limited to geography. Right. I mean, you can you go over the borders thanks to internet in times of pandemic.
Well, up to 2020, it was very easy to move around and find projects abroad, or even expose your work abroad or whatever. But now we are a little bit more limited on those choices. And but you know, I saw it as an opportunity to focus on other things. You know, I started learning more Russian, and you know, I think it wasn't a wasted time for people who
definitely
something new.
Yeah, that's good to see always the bright side. I always say, I mean, you don't need to be afraid, because there will be always 50% of chances that you can use any negative as a teaching. So you can still grow and change direction, be flexible, but still always have your vision out there, ready to welcome you. Yeah, definitely. Well, it happened to me as well, but I think, of course, with the shops closed, everything became more difficult. Although if you believe in what you do, you can go on, and then opportunities are everywhere. We just need to be open to receive them.
And stay focused, like don't give up, it's like insist. I remember once at the begining of my project career, let's say I was in Romania and I was supposed to photograph these buildings that they were in ruin, and some of them had no access. And I was with my mom. And I arrived to the door, I saw it locked, and I said, oh, well, I cannot do it. And she said, oh, but you are so weak. How can you become a photographer when you the first moment? You have to insist and you have to put your foot in the door no matter what. And I try to keep those words in mind all the time when I am faced with a situation where I think, oh, there's no way I can get in there. It's like, you have to push the door.
Yeah, the determination is everything. So your mom is so right. Thank God she told you that.
Yeah.
True. I mean, if you are not determined to get somewhere, you'll never get there, because it's easier and more comfortable to give up sometimes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, yeah. I just want to ask you if you have a word or a quote or something that supports your core values as a person, as a photographer.
I don't know if I have something that supports it, but I always, I have this saying, I think somebody said it, I'm not even sure, but I always, to me, as a portrait photographer, it's the eyes are very important. And when I deal with people, I think the first thing I want to see is a person's eyes. And to me, they're like portals into people's souls. And yes, I think that's the most important thing that I have in mind when I photograph. And it's the need to have that eye contact with my subject, because that's...
create a connection.
Yes, and not only the connection, that's where I actually can see who I am dealing and what kind of emotions that person is going to pass to me. And it is always through the eyes that I'm able to have a photo, a beautiful photo, or any
very high standard.
Yes. So
in fact, if we anyway, our listeners will find your contact in the post and in the bio. And actually, I remember these pictures of the refugee project is through their eyes. You really feel their feelings, and they are very strong pictures, I have to say. They are not, you cannot say they are sad. It's not that. It's more going into them, into what they are feeling while in that terrible situation they found themselves.
And I think that was the main reason I wanted to have these photos and this project finished. It was that the idea was for me for people to look at those pictures, and without words or any text, for them to have an understanding of the situation. And that's what I usually do with my work. I usually try to express or address social issues and feelings that people can get through looking through my photos without having to read something.
Yeah, you tell a story, definitely, through your pictures. I remember also I think one of the last projects about the first lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
It's clear what's happening, and it's amazing. They are so impactful. In fact, your project was published, I remember, at the time.
Yes, it was published here in the Greek newspapers, and it was something that came out really spontaneously because we finally found ourselves in a lockdown, and we said, oh, now we have nothing to do, and then I observed Vangeli, my son, talking to his friends, and there was a lot of online communication. And then one day I saw my son playing with his dog, and the way his body was laying on the ground and talking to his dog just gave me the idea that, maybe I should photograph children in their home environment, reconstructing the moments of their time during the quarantine. And of course I had to wait for quarantine to be lifted, and then I had to get permission from different parents, which was kind of difficult because it was still a very sensible time for people to let strangers in their homes, but I did manage to be accepted, and this project came out very quickly. But yeah, it was interesting in the end to see each child demonstrating into me a moment of their quarantine life.
Yeah, it's actually very impactful. And now remembering the picture of Vangelis with the dog, that was one of these pictures that, considering the unusual times we are living, it was very, very strong. It was very sweet, maybe a bit sad considering what we're living. But it was sweet because he had this dog in that, a huge dog, by the way, almost the size of Vangelis.
Yeah, and I think his words were like, oh, this is my only friend these days. So yes,
you feel it through that picture. So well done, you. Okay, so thank you very much, Mia, for being with us today. I just want to remind you all that in the post below, in the bio, and on my website, you will find all the contacts to know more and see more about the amazing art of our friend Mia. Thanks again.
Thank you very much for having me, and good luck with everything you do.
Thank you, and for you as well.
Make beautiful pieces. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao.